What I was hearing that really took me out of the immersion. So as a composer and sound designer, I started to think, how can we make this better? And through some research, I realized that not a lot of companies are providing this type of services, so I saw an opportunity. And in April, we released our very first experience called Unraveled. It was my senior portfolio project at Berkeley. And in a sense, we have been featured in a handful of festivals around. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to one of the lead audio producers on the project, Gareth Wong, right here. As well as our lead singer and vocalist and lyricist, Shirley, right over there. They are wonderful people. Please go talk to them afterwards. Alright, so Unravel is very special to me, and I would say that it's one of its kind because it's a musical project that was written really with the technology of spatial audio in mind. So it's designed to have constant moving sonic elements and acquired a surround view. Overall, it was meant to have an added dimension and depth to your listening experience that otherwise stereo audio just can't provide you. So I'd love to show you a behind-the-scenes video to show you better what we do as well as what this project was. Today we have the opportunity to experiment with ambisonic recordings, which allows us to record any 360 sound field. We are trying to create an immersive 360 audio and visual experience. I think it's an incredibly exciting time. More and more people talk about VR and spatial audio, but there's no standard just yet. There's a lot of experimentation and new things, new gadgets, new gears coming up every day, and I hope that this project just shows the endless possibility of experimenting with audio formats.
In addition to there being all kinds of excitement and you as a listener being immersed in this new way of experiencing sound, being placed right in the middle of the piece, that the piece itself at its very heart is so beautiful.
The reason why we decided to go with Unity was because we wanted something a little bit more on the abstract side of things. We didn't really want just the footage of 360 video. Unity is a great place to create a world where you get the feelings that you get in the composition.
This project that she's doing is remarkable for our department, and it's also remarkable for the college and maybe for the industry and the world right now. That's our hope.
Musically, we were inspired by Eric Whitacre, and we tried to achieve that with a smaller, medium-sized ensemble by overdubbing. So we're recording the same phrases multiple times, but in a circle. If this is the ensemble, and the mic would be here, we're recording multiple times at different points, and then we're overlaying them to be able to form an ensemble size almost 8 times as large. I want my listener to be surrounded by all these elements, the choir, the strings, and the electronic elements. The idea is that you feel immersed. We have to write it to the medium. This is a spatialized audio production. So if you're interested in seeing the full experience, it's on YouTube. You can look it up by typing Unraveled in my name, Yao, Y-A-O.
And it's also here tonight.
It's also here tonight, somewhere. Would you know?
It's going to be in the back.
In the back of the room. All right. So let's get into this. So what is spatial audio? So spatial audio gives you, the creator, the ability to play sound all around the user. And unlike other traditional audio formats, this one responds to the head rotation in sync with the video. You may ask, why does it even matter? Well, first, when you want to convince the brain that something is real, I think that audio is absolutely crucial. It's the first line of realism. Actually, we receive, recognize, and process sounds much better than we process visual information. So not only does it allow you to immerse the audience, it also anchors us into a space. So before we get all technical, I actually want to take a step back and talk about how do we as humans hear sounds. So the textbook way would be there's sound waves, they reach your ear canal and then reaches the eardrum, and through a few more obstacles they finally reach the inner ear, where there are thousands of tiny hair cells that take the vibrations and turn them into an electrical signal that is then sent to your brain through the hearing nerve. So that's simple enough, but I went on doing more research, trial and error, and talking to other audio experts, and I encountered a few fascinating audio phenomena that I want to share with you. So, fun fact number one, did you know that we all hear sounds slightly different from one another? And that is, even if all external factors are constant, we still have very unique hearing experiences, and that is because of our physical anatomy. So, for example, how tall you are, the shape of your ears, the density of your head, your nasal cavity for resonance, your head to torso ratio, all of this will influence when sound waves hit you, how it gets filtered. So that is why that we all hear the same sound, just a little bit different from each other. Fact number two, this is one of my favorite, is that we as humans really suck at localization. And localization is our ability to identify where sound is coming from. Technically, we localize and hear high frequencies better than lower frequencies, and that is absolutely true. However, I'm sure you've all been in this situation. You lose your phone, you have your friend call it, it rings. So that phone ringtone has all the right frequencies, all the high frequencies that you want, and yet, when you hear it, I don't know about you, but me, I still can't really pinpoint where it is, and it takes me 5 minutes to find it. So, we were really not that good at localization. Thirdly, we actually rely a lot on psychological factors and familiarity to localize. For example, if in a project I want to spatialize and put an airplane sound at a 4 to 5 angle up, when you'll hear it, we as humans, we just can't picture an airplane coming from below us. But if you swap that same sound at the same position with something less familiar positionally to us, like maybe a cello or any other instrument, you actually will not be able to tell that it's coming from above. Most of you will hear it as it's coming from directly right in front of you. Well, that's also very interesting. Okay, now let's get technical. Just out of curiosity, who here has heard of the term ambisonics? Ooh, a lot. That's awesome. And do you guys apply it to your content? Yes, awesome. You are ahead. That's wonderful. So I personally really like ambisonics. Ambisonics is a technology to capture 360 sound field, and it has existed since the 1970s, but has only really been made popular in recent years because of the rise of VR and spatial audio. We measure the fidelity of ambisonics, or in other words, its accuracy in directional information, by the number of channels that it has. So what we call ambisonic orders, if that increases, the number of channels increases as well. So first order has 4 channels, second order 9, third 16, and so forth. So the rule of thumb would be you will always want to work with as many channels as possible. So the highest order of ambisonic possible, because that will contain dramatically more directional information, and you'll be able to accurately localize sounds. And interesting enough, the first order ambisonic, although its accuracy is comparably more blurry, it actually is the most popular choices right now because it's compatible with YouTube and Facebook, and now Facebook can handle second order ambisonic, which is fantastic. But yet, first order is still the most popular, and we also use it on Unraveled because we chose to use the shareability and easy access of that particular distribution platform. There are a wide variety of microphones that can capture ambisonics. These four are the ones that I have an opportunity to experiment with. So all the way on the left over there is the Zoom H2N. And so if you're a beginner, this is the one I would recommend, the cheapest of them all, about $160. It's a very good multi-purpose field recorder that has spatial audio capabilities, and I used it as a learning tool for the longest time, but when it came to doing more professional audio work, the quality of the audio just didn't really cut. So I moved on, and I apologize for the text, but this one is the Core Tetra microphone, just one on the right. As you can clearly see, the four capsules, so this one is a first order ambisonic microphone. And then 1X again is one of my personal favorites, the Sennheiser Ambio, also a first order ambisonics. And finally, when you move a little bit, this Magic Ball, the Zilia, it has 19 capsules, allowing us to capture up to third order ambisonics with the 16 channels. One of my favorites. Great, so now how does this all work? So after you've captured your ambisonic recording, you get this raw, unusable signal that we call the A format. It needs to be converted into what we use, the B format. And what that really does, if we take an example from the popular first order ambisonic, is that it will give you the channel configuration of W, X, Y, Z, exactly in that order. And each of these channels represent a specific sound direction. Having W being the omnidirectional, so it contains all of the sphere information. Then X being front and back, Y being left and right, and Z being up and down. There are many reasons why we'd want to use ambisonics. Just to name a few, it is extremely flexible. You can decode it into a lot of different audio formats like stereo, binaural, surround, you name it. And then it also provides height information. It rotates smoothly, and again, it's infinitely extensible in terms of fidelity. And that's the order of ambisonics that we just spoke about. Now, okay, so now we understand ambisonics, but it is important to note that our human ears can't really perceive this 360 sound field. So how do we get it to translate to our ears and to our headphones technology? And that's when binaural audio comes into play. So binaural is the reproduction of sound the way human ears hear it. There are two ways to achieve that. The first, and the one that we want, is to take our ambisonic recording and decode it into binaural, the way we can hear. And to put the two and two together, if you recall when we talked about the spatial audio, being that it can be in sync with the head rotation, that really what that is that it's taking the ambisonic 360 sound field, and as you turn around, it is rendering in real time and in binaural at every angle that you turn. And that's what this is, and that's what we want for VR, because that gives us the interactivity that we want. The second way, although very, very powerful, microphone that we call dummy heads. The microphones are right in the ears of these microphones. Of the head. And the only issue with this one is that what you record is what you get. You cannot further manipulate the information, but it is extremely accurate and extremely powerful as a tool. So this human head-shaped microphone isn't just built this way to be creepy. If you recall when we talked about our physical anatomy changing into sound, well, what this is trying to do is mimic our own filtration, and it has a term that we call head-related transfer function, or the HRTF. And again, that is filtering like our anatomy, and you can get your own personalized HRTF measure if you're interested, and that really will fulfill to your unique hearing experience. Another super important thing about binaural audio is the tiny, tiny difference in level and in time that a sound will reach either of your ears. And that's what we call the interaural level and time difference. So can you guess, based on these graphs, where did the sound come from? From the top. Guess again. It's It's definitely the left, yes, because of the level, I'm sorry, I apologize, I know it's hard to read. The interval level difference, you can clearly see that the sound was hit louder on your left ear, and it also got hit faster in the interval time difference here. So to summarize, what we talked today about today is first, that sound is absolutely crucial to bring realism to VR. We talked about ambisonic being the technology to create the 360 sound field, and then binaural being the one that imitates our human hearing. And finally, spatial audio being the real-time binaural rendition of the ambisonics as it tracks your head. Okay, so I truly believe that where VR is headed at the moment and what all of us is trying to achieve is full immersion to the point that we forget the presence of technology and that we can really concentrate on creating and concentrate on storytelling. So I hope this talk was informative and useful to you. I want to thank again the entire Facebook team, especially Lisa for coordinating everything. Thank you for the invitation and for creating amazing audio tools that I've used on Unravel and I will keep continuing using. Again, my name is Yao. You can find me on my website. And please come talk to me afterwards. I would love to hear more about what you guys do. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much for listening to all of that. That was a lot, I know. But as I said before, we want to listen to you, even though we just spoke at you for a long time. So over demos and drinks and food, there's more food downstairs. We'd love to meet with you and understand what you're doing in this space and how we can work with you. We've got demos of Oculus rooms, spaces, Yao's Unraveled back here in the cave. We have VR skydiving, we have Beat Saber. There's a lot of different things you can play with down there. But yes, we'd just love to meet with you. So thank you so much for spending your Tuesday evening with us. It's been a pleasure to talk with you and hopefully we'll get to meet you afterwards as well. Thank you.